dismissed. You know you gotta tune in, right? Hey, we just soldiers on a mission. Turn the volume up, tune in to the vision. Spitting every episode, ain't no skipping. Put your mans on, he ain't hear it, then he tripping. And you know you gotta listen to the Ransom report. Hey, it's the Ransom report. Said you know you gotta listen to the Ransom report. It's the Ransom report. Now what you thought? Yeah.
However you may be listening and wherever you are, welcome to the Ransom Report, joined by the venerable and infamous laser beam Sheik Sinan. I am Mr. Ransom. Sheik?
Yes. What's going on, brother?
We started from somewhere, and now we're here.
Absolutely.
Now we're here. Peace and blessings be unto you, sir.
Likewise, my G.
This is basically intellectual entertainment through podcast. I will be reporting live on topics that I find interesting with people I find fascinating, all walks of life, creeds, and colors. Today, for our inaugural episode, we are joined by Rodney Corsi.
Peace, everybody. I'm happy to be here, man.
Happy to have you.
It's pretty cool because I've had some pretty powerful and interesting conversations with both you and Blorn, so I'm happy that we're able to do this on this type of platform.
You're a man that wears many hats.
I try.
A man of many talents, as they put it. Not a jack of all trades, because they say a jack of all trades is a master of none. No, so that's not you. But you are a man of many talents. Congratulations on the Barclays look. That was big.
Yeah, man, it was incredible. That was my second time working with the Brooklyn Nets. The first experience was I got an opportunity to work as a production assistant on behalf of the National Basketball Players Association. So I had the opportunity to work the 2019 media days for the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks. So that was KD's first season on the team.
Well, I will tell you one thing right now. The Sheik is actually a long-suffering Brooklyn Nets fan.
Okay, New Jersey Nets fan. Which is interesting because based on these two experiences working with the organization, class personified. And one thing I noticed with the media day in particular, just how everything flowed with the Nets in comparisons to the Knicks. Like one thing that stood out to me is even with our our access badges, it was current and it was new. When we worked with the Knicks, it was dated for the previous season.
Huh. You
know what I'm saying? So like little things like that. But based on my experiences with the Nets, it's kind of hard to believe because they're such, as I said, class personified and a very polished professional organization. From my experiences. So I don't know where the disconnect is when we talk about the hardwood and playing basketball and putting together a championship team.
So I look at branding as systematic, because when somebody looks at your business, its value to the public is how well it is to the public.
It's also a reflection of you as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's your name on the door.
Absolutely. And when you get a certain amount of money, sometimes people stop caring about how that name looks. Depending on the person.
It's a plus.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think that, and we've seen it in a lot of situations, money amplifies your character. And it will show your true colors. And that it counts for better and for worse. There's a book that I wanted to ask you about and see if you've ever read it. And the Sheik as well. The slave side of Sunday.
I know that's something Colin Kaepernick highlighted in his docuseries on Netflix.
Yeah, I definitely remember feeling very torn during his whole saga with watching and supporting the NFL personally. Because full disclosure, I'm biracial, so I tend to be caught in the middle of conflicts and try to find my own way through them. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy as it sounds, and it actually is never easy. But during that time in particular, I found it hard because I wanted to watch football, but I almost felt guilty. I almost did.
Like you have to just pick your own lane with that and be cool with how people feel, which means to not care how people feel. So for a while I wasn't watching football, but where I landed at, and I'm still here today, I watch football. I'm a Giants fan, but outside of my house slippers, because they don't go outside of my house, I haven't worn one thing that represented the Giants or any other football team outside anywhere.
But I think the issue with that is, and just a societal issue that we have, is this whole thing with identity politics, right? So you felt like so my position on Cap was, I believe as black folks in this country, we reserve the right to kneel for the anthem if we wanted to. That was just my humble opinion. So I didn't disagree with Kaepernick's position, but I'm a sports fan. I'm a football fan. I'm going to watch my team regardless. So that was pretty much my attitude. I didn't disagree with it, but I'm going to do me. And I'm not going to let anybody call me a sellout or a coon, because I still choose to watch the NFL. I went to the headquarters, man, when they had the protest. I was out there.
Okay.
I still with the brother, but I'm a football fan. On Sundays, I'm going to watch my squad, and that's it.
I tend to approach that as, okay, this is sports. We're going to leave it at sports. As long as it doesn't leave sports.
It's very hard to leave sports at sports, though, just from the history of sports.
Yeah, but race and sports, as we all know, have always been intertwined. So that was another interesting element to the conversation. They're pretending that, this is what made Bo Jackson lining up against Brian Bosworth in the 1980s so impactful when he ran him over on Monday Night Football. There was a racial element to that.
I mean, it goes back to Jesse.
Convicts versus Catholics, Notre Dame and the U. You know what I'm saying?
It goes back to Jesse Owens.
Intertwined.
Goes back to Jesse Owens versus. When I hear stuff about back in those days, I can't discount the support from the not from as a race, but the non-African American or non-ethnic people, in this case the white people who supported that.
Oh, 100%.
Because they were brave in a different way for showing their 100%. Public support of those things in that time. It was not, and again, we're talking two different types of bravery here. Completely different types of bravery.
In any time, white people standing with somebody other than white people, in any time, is super brave.
It makes me think of the times that we've seen, because it's hard, right? That when we see some of the people that we've looked up to and we've used as examples of success, this is the way I look at it, and I wonder what you guys will say. We separated the music from non-music with Michael Jackson. We all did. My parents did. My aunts and uncles did.
Of course.
When speaking about him, I'm not saying supporting one or the other. They're just saying, listen, we still like his music. We still love his music. It's Michael Jackson. Whatever is going on is a separate matter from the music. I wonder what the difference was with an R. Kelly situation or with a Diddy situation, because I know they're both musicians, and it's one intertwined with the other right now. I wonder why it was easy to differentiate with Mike.
So I think some people just got fed up with these people being so publicly arrogant and presenting versions of themselves that wasn't authentic. Or in R. Kelly's, in terms of R. Kelly, just being completely foolish, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, calling yourself the Pied Piper is crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, calling yourself the Pied Piper.
Asking people, do they have their shots and do they want to come to America with you? When I saw that, I was so blown away. I was like, this cannot be real. Who does that? I think blown.
That's wild.
Is another example. I think
he's an interesting example.
But I think because Chris, he went public on Instagram, something regarding the NBA and All-Star Weekend. I don't even think it's the fact that people are still. I think we got past Chris Brown and Rihanna and what happened in the car.
But why did we?
He's still having alleged incidents with women, assaulting them, being physical with women. Then there's the whole storyline with Karuchi where he's stalking her, and we're seeing videos online. There's a pattern of behavior that's telling the general public, fam, you haven't learned your lesson. We can't rock with you.
It reminds me of something, another old saying that says, when people show you who they are, believe them. And it also shows you that, another saying is, people will get away with as much as you allow them to get away
100%.
with. That's why the bank robber that robs the big heist, why do they get caught? Because they robbed another bank. They got away with the first one, but they get caught with the second or third one because I didn't get caught. There's some childlike emotion in there, like, I'm going to keep sticking my hand in the cookie jar until it gets grabbed. Now, Chris Brown assaulted a black woman, and she said it happened. He copped the plea. He was allowed to pass. And by say allowed to pass, I know plenty of women that completely condemned him when the whole thing first came out. I know personally that will listen to his music to this day. And I wonder, it's like you pick your battles, and I don't have a woman here to really get her opinion, but from a man's point of view, that's odd to me.
Well, to me,
because if it makes sense for one, why didn't it make sense for the other?
Because to me, it's really about how much you endow yourself emotionally into something outside of the entertainment of it. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if we were to pick and choose what we're going to listen to, wear, eat, if we're going to do that based off of what people are doing, we would be out here hungry and naked.
Yeah, I want to say, just for the record, any type of malicious, harmful, abusive act towards a woman is completely heinous and completely reprehensible. That should go without saying. I just feel the need to say that, and partially because I want my stance clear, but unfortunately because we live in an age where you have to over-clarify yourself. Especially as a man, you have to over-clarify. Yeah. For the record, that's the Ransom Report and its affiliates do not condone any malicious act of any kind towards women of any color, creed, sexual orientation, or gender.
And the beautiful thing about all of it is you could be in the world, but you don't have to be of it. Worlds are things that you create. We live in worlds. We live on earth.
In this day and age, how do we live in the world but not be of the world? Yeah.
But what I'm saying is everything is a choice. That's the beautiful, complicated as well as simplistic part of life. It's your choice. It's your choice to be a part of things. It's your choice. And you can be in the world. Of course, you're going to be a part of it because it's surrounding you. You can't help that part. But how you choose to deal with it, how you choose to indulge, if you choose to be a judge, and you can cut off what you want to cut off, the things you have control over.
I think, Saul Williams talked about this in his interview on The Breakfast Club. He talked about minding his diet. Everything that you consume, from the things that you read, the things that you choose to watch and entertain yourself with, minding your diet. And then also, personally, for me, having some type of spiritual foundation. And one thing I learned about the Sheik is, he knows the science of the nation of gods and earth. I don't know when you discovered that, but what I've learned about you through conversations, that's something that's like essential to your core. At least that's the impression that you gave me.
Absolutely. So
I think when you have like a spiritual foundation, that really sets a tone for your life and gives you that structure that can really, guide you in the world, and you can create the world that you want to live in based on those principles and that spiritual foundation.
I also believe that once you remove the emotion that is involved with someone else of a different religion not having the same beliefs as you, and just learn to listen and respect them, I think that's when your belief system can truly be powerful.
100%, but that's like the problem with religion as a whole.
Religion is the most misinterpreted.
We talked about this.
We did.
For me,
we did.
Sheik,
I'm not gonna.
With different things I'm exploring, man. To me, religion and spirituality should be treated like when you're dining at a buffet. And you find pieces of whatever scripture or whatever piques your interest, and you figure out how to apply it to your life. So I've gone to church a bit. I felt called to go to the church. But also, I listened to a podcast about a hardcore punk musician who became a Christian monk. And in this podcast, he talked about the 6 pillars of bhakti, which can shape the principle and the foundations for your life. And that really resonated with me as well. And then I discovered, it wasn't a dissertation. I think it was like a case study that a graduate student wrote about Christ-centered bhakti. So I saved the study that I'm going to read because I've been going to church. I learned about bhakti and these Hinduism religions and stuff. Sure. I'm interested in this stuff. I want to understand it as I try to shape my own spiritual foundation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm exploring.
fire.
I have a curiosity. I have an interest. I've sat in the mosque of the Nation of Islam. You know,
beautiful.
when I was a kid, my girl dated someone who was a part of the 5% Nation, and he wrote me like definitions when I was in 3rd grade. You know, what word does bomb mean? What non-cipher means? You know, I've always been a seeker like that, and always had these curiosities.
There is a book. Did we ever discuss the book Living Buddha, Living Christ? Did I ever discuss that book with you?
I think you told me about it, but
One of the top 5 books I've ever read in my life. It was a gift. And that book, Living Buddha, Living Christ, is so profound. It's written by a Buddhist monk and a Christian minister. And they break down parts of the Bible, Zen beliefs, Buddhist beliefs, and they both comment on it, and they draw the parallels between the two.
See, that's dope.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That's dope.
absolutely beautiful.
That's the way it should be, in my opinion.
I need
man.
to let you borrow that.
Yeah.
And honestly, before you begin to what we call cook, to go back to what he was saying and to go back into being in the world and not of it. When he was speaking about the buffet, I was going to say in the most simple form that what I was taught as a child, as a young man at 15 years old when I got knowledge of self, was you always take the best part for yourself. Take the best part for yourself and you leave the rest alone. And that's basically how you can be in the world and not of it, because there's great things in this world that we live in. There's great things, but then there's also the ugly side, whatever the ugly side is to you. So you have to always take your bits and pieces, like he said, at a buffet.
Yeah.
Taking the best part for yourself and letting the rest fall to the side.
I definitely
To create your personal euphoria, your personal life, your personal space,
Okay.
your own world, because you have your own world within the world.
back to you, Mr. Corsi.
Yeah.
I want to read something for you guys real quick.
do.
So these are
Please
the
do.
6 pillars of bhakti that can be applied to your life, whether you're spiritual or not, right? Do not criticize, be tolerant, take no offense, be quick to apologize, see the good in others, be grateful, and keep a tally of your blessings.
That sounds
Those are
about
the
as
bhakti
fire.
principles.
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, and then
Sounds-
like what set me on this path was I really, for one, I'm self-employed. I work from home, so I spend a lot of time by myself. So I'm a person. I'm always in my head. I just bought a journal so I could start journaling. I'm always thinking about stuff, like thinking to myself, like, what is Rodney Corsi's foundation? I could say it's my family. I could say it's this, but like, what really is, what keeps me centered, and I think I know, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm like trying to discover that and find different things that say, I connect with this. Like I mentioned,
Absolutely.
Christ-centered bhakti to you guys. Like,
It's-
this is what resonates with me. This is my compass, and this is how I'm going to approach the world.
And look, two things I like to say that I'm about to indulge in listening. Keep tally of your blessings. I think people should literally do that. I'm gonna start doing that, like writing them,
Yeah,
writing
like a lot
them
of people,
down.
gratitude
Like
journals and
even the
stuff.
things that I already know, the things that we know about ourselves that are blessings, and then start doing that week to week or even day to day. And I think that it will change the person that you are if you start looking at the things that are blessings and stop saying, "Dang, well, why this happened? Or this is not going right? Or I don't have enough time for this." If you start counting something different, it will change you. And the other thing that I want to say, journaling is fire, because for New Year's I bought every single barber in here a journal. And
Really?
in particularly Lek Hustle, he's writing in that puppy every day. He has
That's
two
dope.
two journals.
That's a great mental
he has,
health
he
tool,
has he
man.
has a manifestation journal, then he has another journal. So he has the one that I bought him and one he bought himself, and he writes, and I literally watch him write in there every day.
You
Other
also
things.
have to realize, man, a lot of my cousin and I were having this conversation.
Mental health stuff.
Mental health, but when you grow up in certain communities, man, the trauma that you're experiencing, it becomes normalized.
All the more
You know what I'm
reason.
saying?
All the more reason to get therapy.
But how do you know when you know that what you're experiencing isn't, like, this isn't normal? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know until you know.
Right.
You
Okay.
follow me?
Well, yeah, but what he's saying is, how do you know when it's abnormal. You know what I'm saying?
It's normalized, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
you become callous to certain things when they're repetitive. It's just like, and before we go there, and the journaling, just to let you know, the journaling will make you be accountable. Yeah, but journaling is accountability.
It's real.
Because once you put something on paper, you crystallize your thought. Yeah. Okay, so writing something down is the tunnel from taking things from spirituality to the physical world.
Yeah, he was big on that. I tend not to be the biggest fan of his these days. You say certain things, you can't unring those bells. Right. You could walk them back and explain yourself, but you say certain things and it's out there. Like words can hurt you or kill you quicker than any gun or knife.
Yeah, once somebody hears the words, they're infinite.
Yeah.
But I have so many conflicting thoughts on Kanye West because he's such an enigma and such a unique individual. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot of strategy and a method to his madness.
Do you think that he legitimately has some sort of a chemical imbalance, or do you think that this is all part of a strategy?
I mean, he lost his closest confidant and a person that loved him more than anything, and what we saw in that documentary, someone that built him up in a way that made him believe that he could conquer the world. That's and that person passed. Okay. That's a devastating loss, and I think some things that we see are unique forms of grief.
I'll tell you what aligns with it. Mike Tyson and Customato.
100%.
Fantastic example.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Fantastic example. Yeah, you're right.
So when you talk about things like grief, depression, they manifest themselves in different ways.
Do you think that Miss Donda might have instilled a false sense of reality within Kanye? Rodney?
No, because the impression I got from that documentary is that everything she said to her son, she genuinely believed.
Do you inflate someone's ego that much at the risk of it? One day the bubble will pop, the bubble will burst, and then where are you?
I don't view that as she was inflating his ego. I'll say this. I think when she was alive, she knew how to
rein him in. I believe
and
that.
He lost the only person in his life that could rein him in.
Mike Tyson and Customato.
He's just like, Mike Tyson and Customato. That stallion, man. He's that wild horse on the beach just taking off.
The parallels are very similar. A guy who had greatness in him, but characteristics that might not have been his fault. Mm-hmm. He knew how to translate that into what he knew how to harness that into unlocking his best version of himself. Okay.
You look at the success he had with a cell phone commercial during the Super Bowl. Look at the amount of clothes he sold. Somebody likes him. You look at the fact that he's the first independent artist in the history of music to be number one. Somebody's listening to him. And then you go back to the way Mike Tyson loved Customato, the way that Kanye West loved his mother. That's the side that you have to come from. You can't look at it from the side of everybody loses somebody. Okay. When somebody loves somebody almost like a deity and they can do no wrong in their eyes and they feel like they made them the most powerful thing that they are, and you are at the top of your stuff. You're at the top. Mike Tyson was at the top of what he does, based on a person that he loved and respected more than anything in the world. And same thing with Kanye West, at the top of his stuff. Then you take that away. It's almost like taking away God from a person that the only thing that they put their trust and values in is God. So it's like almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is what one of the things.
Imagine finding out that God ain't real.
I want to be able to see the other side. Because, like I said, I have a tough time listening to his music now because some of the things he said, it's hard to ring those bells. I still feel that way. However, it's when he said, slavery was a choice, and then he walked it back with Van Johnson, but you still said it, and all the things he said about the Jewish community. It's almost like I almost feel uncomfortable, like secondhand embarrassment listening to Kanye. But Sheik, you did say, take what you like. Or no, what did you say?
Take the best part for yourself and let the rest fall to the side.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
And to make it clear, speaking about that whole thing about Kanye, it's like you have to be able to live in a space where you can agree with a person on something that they said you agree that you agree with, and not agree with them on something that you don't agree with.
Yeah, like I don't agree with his
like
messages.
We have to stop bonding ourselves to people for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is what I'm saying. Like, you have to learn how to
compartmentalize.
Absolutely, and take the best part for yourself, because I don't think that there's going to be a person outside of the God you believe in that you're just going to roll with everything that they do.
I tend to agree with you to your point. Is Kanye a role model? No, he shouldn't be. He is an entertainer. He makes music to entertain people. Full disclosure, I did but like.
He's also blurring those lines.
Well, that's why my uncomfortable stance grows from. I like his music. I just feel it so torn listening to him. Maybe that's the fear that we have. This society is a kind of cribbed, or excuse me, grown, that we're so wrapped up in what other people think of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I just want to be able to listen to his music
freely.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in his politics. I don't agree with his politics, but I shouldn't have to say that.
People instantly align you with somebody off of what you like about them and what they dislike about them. It's instant alignment. It's like, that's ridiculous.
I'd love to give Kanye a hug and say, hey, like, one person to another, human being, black, white, indifferent, mental health is real, and I hope you get that. I hope you get the healing for the loss of your mother that you need.
So can I ask you a question? We have to get back to Rodney.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you guys a question, because I don't.
Rodney, this is your show as well, my friend.
Because I don't know how true it is, because I never take anything on social media on face value. But did anybody besides myself see what was put on social media today about it being in Kanye West's contract with Adidas, that if he was seen for anything about substance abuse or mental health, like over 30 days, there was a clause in his contract with Adidas that he would lose all the rights to everything and they would have full ownership of it. Did anybody see that besides me? I've seen that like 3 times today on social media. And like I said, I don't know how true it is. Just Google it and look it up. Okay. And I'm sitting here like, damn, I wonder if that brother knew he needed help and didn't seek it because of that, or I don't know. But when you get a chance, just look it up. I'll leave that right there. I seen it multiple times today, and I was like, wow.
It's horrifying, but it's not at all shocking when you consider the evil of the entertainment industry. Rodney, what do we need to do to get back from a world where, like, we're in a very interesting time musically, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on. We're in a very interesting time. Like, one of the biggest songs on radio is "You Think You the Ish" fart, like with a literally fart sound effect.
I mean, in the case of that particular artist that you mentioned, I just think it was, the music industry is about trends, right, and what's hot. But to me, I've come to the conclusion that it's just a reflection of where we are in certain sectors of society.
Right.
And it's it's programming, it's consumerism, but
definitely
with those type of records, I still believe this is the best time to be a music fan, because you're a playlist away from finding exactly what you're looking for. So I don't seek out that type of hip hop. That's just not for me. If it comes on when I'm out having a good time, sure, I'll dance to it, but I don't actively seek it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of my favorite artists, they don't care about the charts. That's not why they do what they do. So to me, it depends on, for one, the type of artist that you listen to and why you connect with those artists. And the artists that I love most, they don't care about the national headlines. They don't care about the platinum plaques. Those things would be cool, but that's not their mission, and that's not the reason why they do what they do.
Right.
The only thing that's always been troublesome is that there's not a balance with it. You know what I'm saying?
On the radio, at least.
I understand the business end of it, but sometimes we still have to have integrity for the art. So if there is an artist putting out purpose-driven music, meaningful music with a message, you got to prioritize that. You got to make space for that and prioritize it. So that's the thing that I have an issue with. we're not. It appears that we're not always prioritizing the right artists and the right types of music within the music space because we're so concerned with the bottom line. So things become very generic and formulaic, and I think that's what we see in mainstream hip hop music at times.
Do you find that as I would imagine in your position that can be frustrating because you represent a wide range of talent, and I'm sure you might feel that sometimes the certain talent isn't getting the right amount of exposure that they are due.
Yeah, it's frustrating for someone who loves music, and I think a lot of people that work in music don't necessarily love music. You may be more attached to the lifestyle, you may be more attached to the money. When I got involved with music, it wasn't for money. And even as an adult, when I think about things I did as a kid, it was from this passion of music. I remember going through, my stepdad's album collection and like reading the linear notes from Reasonable Doubt or the Leaders of the New School album. We talked about that type of stuff. Spending weekends at my dad's, and my dad was the R&B, GOAT. I know now as a man, it was just something that I loved to do. So when I eventually created a music blog, it made sense. Right. This was kind of like the path since I was a little boy, because I've been around this music and I just had this intrinsic curiosity, not only to listen to the music, but learn more about the other things.
One of my biggest complaints today, I was looking at Kanye's album, and it's frustrating because all I see is Kanye, Ty Dolla $ign. I don't see anything else. And I'm like, who is this person on here?
Yeah.
Like, you can't see anything.
I
That's all
agree.
you see. Drives me crazy.
I used to love going to Coconuts or FYE or Sam Goody, buying the CD, coming home, seeing what that sample was. I'm like, how come it sampled this person? Havoc sampled this person? Damn, Large Professor sampled this person. I was always the sample-driven guy because I used to.
You were a producer too, so that makes sense.
I dabbled years ago heavily, and that was a huge. Subscribing to Scratch Magazine, that was huge. Like going to, listen, if going to M&S grocery and getting the Source Magazine XXL and Vibe. I had to get all three.
Absolutely.
I do believe once music moved away from physical copies that you had to go and buy, when it became too easily digestible, I feel like that was the beginning of the end for the high standard, I should say. Once you didn't have to go get an album and pay that money to buy the album, you could just pay $9.99 a month and have as much as you want, listen to as much as you want, never really download anything because it's all at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Just skipping over things, not having to care about it.
Yeah, I think that's when the quality
shuffle on that iPod,
and it's like that with everything.
And digesting an album anymore.
I think that's in my personal opinion. Once you didn't have to go on Tuesday and Friday to get an album, and again, I think that, like you said, culturally there's an agenda there, making it simplifying it and watering it down is another form of control.
Yeah, 100%. And then another point I wanted to share a story with you.
Please share.
As it pertains to just kind of like a frustration. So this was in 2017 or 2018. This is at my first agency I worked at when I got into the business. The artist's name was Akua Naru, right? She is an MC. She's a singer, very soulful, super dope, has a lot of like, I hate using the word conscious, but conscious, like neo soul type of vibes. That's her style of hip hop. Very cerebral. She hired our firm. I got assigned the project because I was our hip hop guy, our black music guy, pretty much.
Okay.
And the album was called The Black Is Joy. So Akua is originally from New Haven, Connecticut, but she's built a sustainable music career in Belgium, right? And during our first call to discuss the rollout for the album, she knew the project was dope, and it's an incredible body of work. I recommend it to you guys. I told you I was going to send you some links. I still have to do that. But she was worried because the album was called The Black Is Joy, and it celebrated, black culture, black history, black women, just very Afrocentric, and it was all positive. And her biggest concern was that the message and the content of the art was too positive and too black for the U.S. market.
That's crazy.
Like, nervous, you know, she put together an incredible album. She should be thrilled. She should be ecstatic to drop this and share this with the world. But
It was
she
her
wasn't.
labor of love.
She was apprehensive.
Yeah.
She was saying, I don't know how people are going to receive this. They're not going to like it. It's too black. It's too positive. This is what an artist is telling me, her publicist, you know? Luckily, we had a pretty solid campaign. I was able to premiere the single we released with Eric Benet and the album itself with Afropunk, you know, which is very supportive of eclectic black artists. We did some interviews. I took her up to the MTV office to meet with their programming team to get some of the music videos programmed into the Viacom network. So we did have some success on that campaign, but that's one story and one artist that I always think of when you see other artists having these moments and they have all these marketing dollars being thrown at them when the content, it's not very impactful, you know? That album could have created a movement. You know, Aku is still doing her thing. Shout out to her, man. But she's definitely an artist that always comes to mind when I think of women in music, women in hip-hop in particular, and I see the ones who rise to the top, who get the bigger budgets, who get, you know, those bigger press looks. And it's just like, you know, you were right about this artist if she shot somebody. That's the part that hurts.
Right.
Or if she got popped in the head somewhere in the wrong neighborhood.
Right.
That would be on every major music magazine, perpetuating that narrative and storyline about the hip-hop community and hip-hop culture, right?
Right.
So that's, you know, a story and an artist I can think of.
Direct connection.
Do you listen to any of like the, I hate this sound old, but like any new artists?
Of course.
You
I
do?
mean, I love hip-hop.
Okay, so
Yeah.
by your answer, that lets me know that you're kind of like, you dibble and dabble in it all. Like, which I do too. I do too. And I get a lot of flack from certain friends, and I'm not gonna name them in this situation.
But like I was saying, not to cut
I'm not
you
gonna
off,
do that.
Charles, for me, it's like I used to have these very strong opinions. I used to be that purest hip-hop snob. If it's not Rakim or KRS-One, it's not dope. You know, if it doesn't embody the 5 elements of hip-hop, it's not hip. I used to be on that bullshit, but like, get over yourself.
And the crazy part is, a lot of people not even purest hip-hop people. They're just older people who can't get out of their own way. A lot of people
Or they stop being curious about it.
In my experience, like, there's so many times I'm around guys that are my age or older, and they're just like shutting down everything. If it wasn't in that box when they were between 15 and 25, if it's not in that box, it's whack.
Right.
That's some
and that's somebody who's lost their curiosity about the art of rap.
Lost their curiosity.
100%, man. You know,
or just set in their ways. Some people just
and that's
just
cool
stagnant,
too.
set in
You know
their
what
ways.
you like.
Right, but I'm more on the lines of agreeing to what you're saying. When I say set in their ways, I don't mean that in a good way. I mean I mean that in a way of anything that doesn't grow, develop, or change is dead. The absence of those things is death. You feel me? So music is supposed to grow. Like, people think music is supposed to just, not people, but certain individuals, when it comes to rap, it's just like, oh, they're not talking about nothing. You remember when they were doing this and that? Like, to me, that is just like so still, stagnant, placid, and dead. Like, you cannot. Music is an art that constantly evolves and grows. People do. How can the music not?
If I'm bringing it up, it's not that I necessarily have an opinion. It's like, whoever I'm sitting with and you, I want to know what the people around me think. And I might still have the same opinion about it, but it's going to be an unbiased one. What are your thoughts on Beyonce going country?
I think it's a natural transition. You know, we have deep roots within that genre, you know, but a lot of that stuff becomes forgotten history. So to me,
absolutely,
I think it's especially for an artist at her level, she's a superstar, one of the biggest artists and influential musicians in music, right? It's great that B has now stepped into that genre, because with her being there, now it's bringing attention to other black artists in the country genre. So it's created that story, and now it's creating that wave.
I definitely find it very telling, the type of people that are pushing back against it.
We know what that's rooted in. But this is the problem with music and history as a whole, right?
Sure,
because now in 2024, if you ask a young black kid what is rock and roll, he might tell you that it's white people music. He doesn't know about Muddy Waters. He doesn't know about Chuck Berry. He doesn't know about Bo Diddley. He doesn't know about Little Richard. These are pioneers in rock and roll. You know, these are musicians that inspired Caucasian musicians. The Rolling Stones got their band name from a song by Muddy Waters. You know what I'm saying? So that's where knowledge of self has to improve. You know, and then when you don't know your history, it gives people the opportunity to rewrite it. So this is why country radio stations are saying we're not gonna play a Beyonce song. She's not a country artist.
Right. And they don't even have to. If you don't have knowledge of it, they don't even rewrite it. They just write it because you didn't have anything to begin with. And I feel like maybe Beyonce, like when you get to a certain place in finances, back to where we started before, when the money is right, people start either not caring, losing interest, or start doing what they would like to do.
It's like the old mentality, you know, give them what they want, then give them what you want.
Right.
Like you draw them in, and then once you have their attention, then it's like, well, this is what I really want to.
And like he said, she's a Texas girl. We don't know. She may love country music.
It's possible. It's very possible.
But then also, Charles, we have to take some of this commentary with a grain of salt, man. Sometimes when I'm on social media, it's like, and maybe this is like the idealist in me, but I feel like sometimes people write stuff or say things simply for the engagement.
Absolutely.
You don't even mean.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Rodney.
A lot of that nonsense. Think about how quickly that Cam Newton video surfaced.
That made me really, really uncomfortable because the lack of respect that the kids show Cam, that they would never show that type of disrespect to Eli Manning.
At a Tom Brady football camp, bro.
The average person takes things on face value. Everybody's more of a .com and not a .org.
Ooh, that's a fact. Again, the lack of respect that was shown to somebody.
But that starts at home. I don't even think that's so much a race thing. You know, you're just disrespecting.
I was going to say self-hate.
And then again, right, what I was saying about taking things with a grain of salt. I'm going to antagonize this person so I can post this video on social media and go viral.
Absolutely.
You know?
You have to be careful with that because you never know who you're antagonizing.
The Sheik was talking about accountability earlier. Again, so there's accountability on the parents of those children, right? And then also, we don't know how Cam Newton is running his football camps because this isn't there's been a consistent pattern of issues at his camps. So maybe he needs to improve the structure. You know what? When we had an after-school program that I helped establish where I live now, we had ground rules for our kids. And if you broke any of those ground rules, you couldn't participate in programming anymore.
Right. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
The whole entire Cam Newton, nobody knows except for the people that are there. And not just for that moment, like you said, how's this program being ran? What was going on for the past couple of days? You got to infuse all of these things to be able to even speak about it respectfully. You know what I mean?
We've had this conversation so many times, Rodney, and now that the Sheik is here, I think it's a great conversation to bring up. And I want to add one thing onto it. You and I have all these good ideas, and we've talked about all these good ideas about how to improve certain things in the black community. Like, we have all these good ideas, but like you said, you were like, where's the implementation to all this?
I think our two biggest issues that perpetuate a lot of the systemic problems in African American communities is fatherlessness and poverty, right? America can solve the poverty problem. We can send billions of dollars to the Ukraine. We can solve poverty here in the U.S., you know? And that perpetuates violence, incarceration, you know, any issues that we have, right? You know, we know all the negative things that poverty can create, all the byproducts of poverty. Figuring out, at least in my case, and I say this from a perspective with some of the things I'm involved with now, right? So I'm a part of the Asbury Park Police Athletic League. I just started boxing. I've been boxing for about 4 months now.
I've seen it.
So we have a lot of kids, you know, and with all my community work over the years in between Monmouth and Ocean County, man, I've met more moms, aunties, and grandmas than I've met fathers. So I'm like, where are the fathers at? Right. So through the boxing club loosely inspired by Jason Wilson and what he does in Detroit, Michigan, with transformative martial arts training that helps strengthens and deepens the bond between black boys and their fathers. I want to incorporate some of those things into what we're doing at the boxing club. So engaging the men. Is your father involved? Okay, so bring him here. So transformative programming to strengthen the bonds between black boys and their fathers, and hopefully that can improve the relationships of with their spouses or their co-parents in scenarios.
A trickle-down effect.
A trickle-down effect.
Okay.
So, and in terms of race relations, man, it's you gotta live, you gotta practice a more integrated lifestyle. And again, it's Black History Month right now. The issue with Black History Month is that Black history has never been viewed as American history or synonymous with American history. So let's really explore and get to the root of these things. That's why, and it's so interesting to hear when critical race theory was still a major talking point in mainstream media, the pushback towards that. Why are you so resistant towards this history being included in your curriculums? Because you may find something about yourself that you may not like, and it's going to reveal some lies that you were told about who you are. You know what I'm saying? A way to create an inferior complex among marginalized groups in the U.S. and abroad.
Sheik?
So this is an idea that a gentleman by the name of Damien, who sold me my first life insurance policy. He's from Brooklyn, and he is a financial advisor. So one day I'm in his office, and his idea was so prolific. And he said, listen, if we want to get America to pay more attention to the black family and its problems and the death of young black men and things of that nature, we have to push towards black mothers and fathers putting life insurance policies on their children. He said, if you take a young black man and you put a life insurance policy on them, a whole life insurance policy, preferably over a term policy, something that can help them in their living as well as their death. And you put this type of life insurance policy on a young black man, or any life insurance policy, whatever you can afford, because term obviously is more affordable. And you put these life insurance policies, that we can consistently do this with our children, right? And our children are dying at a rapid rate from murder, right? The amount of money that these insurance companies would have to dish out compared to the amount of young black men who are being murdered in the streets, that they will want to involve themselves in changing the problem, because it would be
that is reversing.
It would be billions, possibly trillions of dollars. Just think about the majority of us getting killed are in good health because they're young.
Yeah.
And murder doesn't make you exempt from the payout. The payout would probably be high if you started when they're young. The insurance policy payout will be over $1 million on a healthy young person. And you just look at the rate that we're getting killed at. I mean, I don't know the numbers off top, but if we take a chance and we analyze it and we look at black men killed between 15 and 30 in one year.
Wow.
Born healthy. Eventually, something would have to be done.
Yeah.
Because it would be costing America money that they can't afford to pay out.
Wow.
And I thought that was the most prolific thing that I probably ever heard in my life.
It is.
When he was telling it to me.
Yeah.
His name is Damian Jackson. Word is bond. Like I said, he put me onto my whole life insurance policy, which is, part of my retirement plan, being that I work for myself. I have a decent death benefit. He gave me a plethora of books to read. I read every book on that list that he gave me, from The Millionaire Next Door to The Richest Man in Babylon to, just and some of the books were books that I learned from some of my brothers that went to prison, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. But I read all of those books from cover to cover And that's when I started getting interested into the stock market, and I opened up my first brokerage account, and I got into that, and then created an IRA, and just started really learning about my financial literacy. And Damien was the person who started that locomotive.
There's so many things you just said that are so
different.
valuable, things that are so important, that we're so interested in the wrong things, that things like that. But you relaunching Garden State Hip Hop, it's almost like an enigma question, right? Why is New Jersey hip hop so? Why is there such a lack of unity? Like, why can't we get it together?
I think partly just the nature of hip hop. You know, it's a very competitive genre. Hip hop is like a sport, but that's something that makes us so unique in comparisons to other cultures and genres of music.
Well, on top of hip hop being competitive,
Sure,
the sidelining of our culture is making us competitive against each other outside of hip hop.
crabs in a bucket mentality.
Absolutely.
That was taught.
Like
100%. Yeah, that
we
part.
we double competitive because in our community a lot of the pants are on backwards. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a perfect example. Then I'm gonna let the brother speak.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example. There was a point where I had to make a transition as a barber, where I had to stop rewarding people for foolishness and start rewarding people for righteousness. You know what I mean? But as a barber, I started looking at myself and I'm like, damn, I can name mad people that came home from jail that I gave a free haircut to, but I can't name one kid that came home from college on a visit that I gave a free haircut to. And I started looking at myself, and it's the same thing when you're doing something that has, in my opinion, high value, like what he's doing. It's like people don't value it, and I don't know why. We value the wrong things. Like, people to come up off of their money or off their time for the wrong things.
It's like Nipsey said, proud to pay. The proud to pay aspect of it, and he got a lot of pushback for it, but the right people supported him. Yeah, like, we would have so much more of a voice as hip hop. There's so much talent in New Jersey. Garden State Hip Hop is such a great form and such a beautiful idea, and the issues that you have, you shouldn't have. I just don't. It's a mystery to me. What do you think needs to be done in terms of your listening audience to achieve that?
For me, the focus is being consistent and creating the best pieces of content with the resources that I have. That's the focus.
If it's not money or support, what would you say the biggest hurdle is?
Ah, man, that's a really good question. I think for me, one reason why the platform isn't as big, the reason why I'm not a part of as many circles, is because my approach to hip hop is more genuine, for lack of a better word. Like, a lot of these projects I've talked to you about, I never asked people for money. I've always paid for those things out of my pocket. All you had to do was just show up and do what you do. The shoot that I had a few weeks ago, I told one of the artists I was talking to that I invited, I said, yo, I don't do that pay-to-play stuff, man. This is just from a love of rap. I pay for everything out of pocket. Studio, videographers. I just invited you because I'm a fan of what you do. As someone who loves music, as someone who wants to celebrate hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? So for me, working from that perspective, I've held myself back. You know, I could have capitalized on a lot of people, but to me, that's not beneficial to the artist. I do this because I like the music and I appreciate music and I find what you're doing genuinely interested, not because I can benefit from it. I don't want to dilute the culture, man. To me, it's like hip hop has become so cheap, and it really bothers me, man. It's like what made hip hop so unique and so special, man, is because, again, some people even say hip hop isn't even a culture anymore because to some extent there's no parameters, there's no guidelines, those things don't exist. It's just a free-for-all. Anybody can come in and do whatever they want. And it's like the art form has become stripped of a lot of its integrity, and the genius of it is becoming more and more diluted at the commercial level. I'll say that.
That's why I think that's rap music. It ain't hip hop.
Yeah. Rap is what you do, hip hop is what you live, in the words of KRS-One.
You feel me?
I like it.
Yeah.
So
So for me, even with, if you go to the Garden State Hip Hop Instagram, like, a lot of people's formats is kind of like the shade room format, where it's like you're just posting, clickbait, engagement, or micro blogging. I don't want to do that. I just want to present the work that I'm proud of and leave it at that. I'm not thirsty for you, you know, if I get 10K views or a couple hundred likes, cool, but that's not what the objective is.
No, I understand.
The objective is to present high quality work and put artists that I'm interested in the best scenarios that I can put them in with my resources for them to do what they do best.
I just want more people to listen to it and to co-sign it and to buy into it. I really do.
But one thing I emphasized when I rolled out Volume 1, the first verse, I said, this is for people that appreciate or enjoy new music discovery. You don't care if it's local, you don't care if it's regional or national, because a lot of people don't tap in because it's not a nationally recognized artist. And you know, Kool Herc once said that Dr. King's dream to some extent came true in the form of hip hop, and that's something I agree with.
I like that a lot, and I didn't know he said that, but I like to see it. Do I think that the Eminem conversation is him being the greatest rapper or the top 5 rapper? I don't really have much of an opinion on that, because he was never in my top 5, because my top 5 is subjective. We had this conversation.
Like, it's not even, I don't want to say it's not worth, but having a conversation about who's the top 3 to 5 in anything, it's all subjective, and it's
100%.
all opinion. So we got to recognize it's all for fun when the conversation starts and when it ends.
Yeah, like, I think if I tell you something, Rodney, or if I tell you something, Sheik, and you do your best to tear down my choices, I think that shows lack of respect for me as a person.
And I would say that if you ask every rapper's mother who's the best, they're gonna say their son.
I created a list for the top artists to watch in New Jersey in 2024. I didn't expect to get the response I got back from people that were appreciative from being included. But of course, man, people that didn't make that list were going in on me, on the platform, talking crazy. And I didn't write a list after that, because I'll be honest, I didn't want that smoke. You know what I'm saying? It was too much. It was like fire. It was really on it. And it was kind of surprising, because I had spent so much time building a site and doing these things. You're doing stuff, but you still feel like your voice isn't that impactful. Because I'm just doing it because I love hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like, yo, that shit meant something to a lot of people. And like, people were offended to not be on. I'm like, damn, like, yo, I ain't even mean, like, these are just people I listen to the most. Like, a lot of thought didn't even go on. But I'm like, yo, who am I listening to the most that I write about on the site?
I get it.
They won't make the top 10 or whatever.
It was completely subjective.
This matters to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I just want.
After that, I'm like, I'm not doing these lists anymore, man. It's creating too many problems. But this is why I think a lot of larger publications across media, not just hip hop, create this type of content. It's gonna get people emotionally invested in it. They're gonna repost it. This is why XXL posts their freshman cover every year, and the hip hop community goes crazy.
Oh yeah,
right. And it's
a great marketing tool.
And it's back to the judgment. The part that you didn't want no part of, other companies thrive off of it.
I'm gonna wrap with this, because we've been here. We can keep on, and this will not be the
great bill, bro.
This will not be the last time. This was the first on the Ransom Report. How can the listeners find you on social media, please?
At Rodney GSHH on Instagram, at Garden State Hip Hop as well. GardenStateHipHop.com, of course. You know, those are the primary handles, and I'm very active on those platforms, so you can check me out there.
Yeah, Rodney, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Hope to sit down and speak to you again in the future. Look forward to it, man.
Yeah, likewise, bro. You're doing a great job.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is dope.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a great build.
Thank you for tuning in wherever you are and however you may be listening to the Ransom Report. On behalf of myself and the Venerable Sheik Sinan, thank you for listening. Sheik, what happened to peace?
Peace.
That was dope, yo.
This program is brought to you by the good folks at What's the Movement, LLC.